October 1st. Here we go. It's a Thursday. We'll go down to October 1st, y'all. And here's where the video is that we are currently watching. So if you missed anything, need to go back, make sure that you go there to watch this video. We'll go next to the starter. So today, think back on yesterday's assignment, right? Think back on the three buckets. What is the purpose of the three bucket organizer? Like, what does it do? So go ahead and do that now. You have 2 minutes and two sentences, please. Go. Our summary today, continue to think like a historian. Use primary and secondary sources to interpret various historical perspectives. Units Latin America, statement of inquiry, systems determine power and equity. Right, again, we're talking about the Latin American social class system, like in colonial times when Spain took over and the peninsulars being at the top. And we're trying to understand, why did the Creoles lead the fight for Latin American independence? So then we have synchronous time today. We've already done 23.4 starter. We're going to do October 1st discussion, then we'll get into what is a thesis statement, and then you will write a thesis statement. So you get into, if you look at the bottom, asynchronous time is to finalize your thesis statement. Your discussion post today: was pride, money, or fear the main reason the Creoles led the fight? I should say led instead of lead, but led the fight for Latin America's independence. I should say Latin American independence. Okay, I'll have to address that. But you get the point here. Was pride, money, or fear the main reason? So what I want you to do is kind of write which one you think was a greater contributor to the Creoles being ticked off with Spain and wanting to lead the revolution, the independence movement. And then once again, you need to respond to a peer and write whether you agree or disagree, why you want to agree or disagree in your first sentence, and then build on it and add something else to it in a second sentence. Maybe build on their argument and explain another reason why you agree or another reason why you disagree with their statement. You have 2 minutes. Go. Okay, and we'll continue here. So here we go. What is a thesis statement? Because that's our focus today. And if you take a look here, okay, for me, sometimes it can be more than one sentence, but most likely it's going to be one sentence, especially if you are in middle school. So I'm going to stick with that requirement for now, right now for my class. So a thesis statement for me in my class is going to be one sentence. It's going to directly answer the question. It restates the question. It includes 3 reasons supporting your answer, and it does not elaborate or explain the reasons. So those are the 5 characteristics of a thesis statement that I'm going to focus on that you will eventually get assessed on later on, maybe even during our big unit test at some point. Okay, so again, thesis statement, one sentence, directly answers the question, restates the question, includes 3 reasons, and does not elaborate. Those are the 5 characteristics of my thesis statement. So we're gonna practice here and have a little fun with it. So the question is, this is my sample question, who's going to win the NBA Finals? So if you look at that, and you look at my answer there, the Lakers will beat the Heat in the NBA Finals because they are more experienced, great defense, and LeBron James. So those are my 3 reasons. So if you look, does that satisfy my 5 characteristics for a thesis statement? Is it one sentence? Yes. Does it directly answer the question? Yes, it states who's going to win. Does it restate the question? Yes, it does. It says the Lakers will beat the Heat in the NBA Finals because. That's my restatement of the question. I could have just said the Lakers will win the NBA Finals because as well. I added a little bit in there. Okay. And then does it include 3 reasons? If you look at my 3 reasons here that kind of justify or support my reason, you have more experience, great defense, LeBron James. And then lastly, does it elaborate or explain the reasons? No, it doesn't. It just lists them or states them. It does not explain why they're more experienced and why that's going to help them. It doesn't explain why they're better at defense and how that's going to help them. And it doesn't explain why LeBron James is kind of like, will help them win the NBA Finals. It doesn't explain that. It just states it briefly. Okay. So again, it meets those requirements. One sentence directly answers the question, restates the question, 3 reasons, and does not elaborate. Those are the 5 characteristics that your thesis statement must have. I do not want you to answer that. Well, you could answer that question if you want as well. But what I want you to do here, let's practice. Okay, go ahead and put one of these. I want you to write a thesis statement answering one of the questions that you see listed there. You have tons of options to choose from, or you could maybe write your own question and then write a thesis statement for it. That's fine with me. But if I'm looking, right, who's the greatest musical artist of all time? Who's the best hip hop or rap artist right now? Who's the best basketball player of all time? Who's the best NFL team? Who's the best soccer team right now? Who is better, Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi or someone else? What is better, a pen, pencil, marker, or crayon? What is better, a notebook or binder? What video game is best right now? And what game console is best right now? You can pick one of those. I want you to pick one of those. I want you to go down, hit reply, and write your post. Write your sample thesis statement. Now again, only one sentence. Restate the question you've picked, right? Directly answer the question. Restate the question you've picked. I want you to give me 3 reasons why. Don't explain it, remember. And make sure you do not elaborate. Okay? Go ahead and do that now and reply. And then once you reply, you'll be able to see what maybe a lot of your peers have said as well. But I'm going to just look at this and just get an idea of, do we understand the process and the characteristics of a thesis statement? So I'll give you 1 minute. right. So now we're going to take that to, now we're going to apply that to what we were talking about with Latin American independence movement. Okay, so now you should know how to write a thesis statement. And now I want you to write a thesis statement that directly, is one sentence, directly answers the question, restates the question, includes 3 reasons, and does not elaborate. And I want you to do that right now related to the question you see there. Latin American independence, why did the Creoles lead the fight? Okay, you can go back to your Chickenfoot organizer, right? And I'll see if I can go there as well. If I go to the Chickenfoot organizer, it's basically written for us already. So again, if you remember from the Chickenfoot organizer, we have the leg of the Chickenfoot, right? We have the 3 talons, and we have this statement already written for us. But let's just take a look as we review. Go to Essay Builder. I'm gonna move it over to this side. Okay, so make this a little larger. So here we go. So we got our buckets, right? Pride, money, and fear. We put those documents in there, the documents that support each of those reasons. We have our Chickenfoot here, the leg of our Chickenfoot. The Creoles led the fight for Latin American independence because, that's what we wrote in the leg of our Chickenfoot. And then we have the 3 talons, pride, money, and fear. Let's combine those now into a well-written thesis statement. And y'all can just do the same exact one as mine if you'd like. I'm going to hit Submit Assignment. Scroll down where it says Text Entry. And here's where I'm going to write my thesis statement. And I can look at the Chickenfoot organizer to help out a little bit, right? So I could say something like, the Creoles led the fight for Latin American independence because of pride, money, and fear. And sometimes what you want to do is you want to put your strongest argument last. So, maybe if I feel like fear is the strongest argument, I will put that last, or I could rearrange those in certain order. Okay, but you see how that's incredibly simple. Okay, that's incredibly simple. I've restated the question. The Creoles led the fight for Latin American independence. And it's one sentence, and it includes 3 reasons. Okay, and it does not elaborate on why pride, money, and fear are the reasons the Creoles led the fight for Latin American independence. It just states them. That's all I'm looking for. Okay, so go ahead, and if yours has a little bit, it's a little different, that's okay. As long as it's still meeting those requirements you see above, as long as it's still one sentence, directly answers the question, restates the question, 3 reasons, and does not elaborate. As long as it meets those 5 requirements, I'm okay with that. One thing I often see is the use of pronouns in thesis statements. Do not use pronouns. Don't say they led the fight, because I don't know who they are in this situation. Imagine that I don't know the question that you're answering. Okay, so it needs to be clear to me. Or you could, if you said the Creoles led the fight because, that still is not clear to me because I don't know what fight you're talking about. Okay, so make sure that you restate the entire question and you're not missing anything in your thesis statement, please. Okay, go ahead and do that now. And when you're done, please submit it. Please go down and click Submit Assignment. And at that point, you'll be good to go. Okay, look at that. I got a little confetti falling down once I submitted that assignment. All right. Again, finish that up. Now let's review. That's it for the day. Okay. Again, this brings basically our DBQ to a close outside of our assessment tomorrow on close reading. So we've continued to think like a historian. We've used primary and secondary sources to do this, to look at these historical perspectives and help us answer this historical question. We're going to continue with the unit with some modern day government economics next week. Systems determine power and equity. We did this the synchronous work, right? The starter, the discussion, and the thesis statement. Hopefully you've already written your thesis statement. You're all done with that. You don't need to do that for your asynchronous time. Now I just want to give you a heads up. Tomorrow is your close reading assessment. Close reading assessment. I'm not having a Zoom class tomorrow. There's no Zoom class tomorrow for me, but I will have a video posted for October 2nd, which will walk you through it and explain to you what you're doing for the assessment. Your assessment is going to close read a document for this DBQ. It's not going to be A, it's not going to be C, and it's not going to be F. It's going to be one of the others that I've not assigned to you yet. And again, I'm looking for the skill of close reading. Make sure you go through the steps of close reading, and I'll go back to an example just to make sure we understand it. All right, if I'm close reading the text, I'm gonna go right here. Okay, Latin America document A. So here's what I'm looking for, and here's how you're gonna get maximum points, 10 points out of 10, and that's what we're shooting for. First thing you do, read the entire page one time through. So you're going to read the document one time through. Number the paragraphs. Reread each paragraph on its own, highlighting in appropriate colors. Make sure that you're doing the colors that I've assigned to you. People and groups of people, purple. Numbers, dates, blue. Places and locations, green. Other important information, orange. And then have a 1 to 3 word main idea hashtag for each of the paragraphs that you've numbered. So if there are 3 paragraphs, that means you should have 3 numbers, 1, 2, and 3, and each of those should have their own hashtag. You should have 3 hashtags. So again, make sure that you do that tomorrow. You do it well. It needs to be done during the block that you have for me during that time. Okay, and again, so you're going to get on tomorrow. You're going to watch the video. You do not have to log into Zoom. You're going to watch the video and complete the assessment during, it shouldn't take you too long, during that 30 to 45 minute window. Okay, so please make sure that you're doing that because I will most likely lock the assessment at a certain time just to make sure that you are doing that during the appropriate time for you and your class. Okay, any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. Send them to me in Canvas as well. And have a good one. And I will not personally see you tomorrow, so I hope you have a good weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Thanks.